Hello there, welcome back to the channel. It's Richie here from Dowie After Dark, and I have the honour to be joined today by Pierre, or as you might know him, CGM, the acting captain for Belgium. I'm saying that because I don't think you're captain anymore, right?
Yes, hello everybody. I'm still interim captain, let's say it like that, but I have to retire with the birth of my first child arriving. So it was an amazing season with the team and the country, and super happy to pass on the mantle to the next generation, basically.
Amazing. So at the time of this is going out, the birth is pretty imminent right now. So by the time that you're watching this, he will probably actually have a child. So which is a massive congratulations, mate, from the past to the future. Anyway, so I am also no longer captain of Team England. That is going up for vote at the moment. So this is just going to be two ex-captains just 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 chatting shit about the WTC. So
Yes.
how did you find the WTC, mate? Did you have a good time?
Yes, amazing experience. I'm pretty used to the TG Airport setup and organization. I've been there at WTC Open last December and this WTC, and it's always nice events. Everything went super nice. I think the judges made amazing job, and the whole behavior of the players was top notch. So honestly, nothing to blame there.
No, I've been trying to say this in like all of the videos that I've done since that all of the kind of perceptions that people have of like top level players and how these tournaments play out, it just honestly wasn't like that at all. Everybody played the game with I've just been saying with such grace. Do you know what I mean? Like everything was done to intent. Everyone was having a good time. Like especially in like our round. So when I played against Thomas, basically I would so say I had a gyrocopter on the opposite side of the board and I forgot to shoot it that round because it was miles away, it was by itself, it wasn't really going to impact much. I was just like, right, it's fine, it's gone past the phase, I'm not going to shoot it. And he's there going, no, it's fine, you shoot it. And I was like, no, it's gone past it, it's absolutely, so we're like arguing to try
After
and to
you, no,
yeah,
after
exactly.
you.
We're arguing. Yeah, and it was like that throughout all of it. Like he forgot to fire one of his cannons, and I was like, "Oh, you can go back and do it." And he was like, "No, it's absolutely fine. It's done." And it's stuff like that that just fills me with such happiness about the international community that we're playing in the final of the WTC. There's trophies on the line. You're going to be the world champions, and the games are almost like you're just playing with your mates on a kitchen
Yeah.
table. Like it was so good, so good. And that was what a final, right? Like how
Yes.
close was it as well?
Yes. To be back on fair play and behavior at the table. To be honest, it's super nice when the judges are passing by to just look at the game and not take care of any ruling or any judging, and they were just like, "Yeah, we don't belong here." It seems because everything is going swiftly, but they were just staying looking at the tables like that, and it was amazing. So a final to remember, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it was. So an interesting one you say about the judges. We actually had a judge that was sat on the end of our table for the entire game. And I kept being like, is something up here? And they were literally like, no, I just wanted to watch Cafe versus X Force. So they literally just sat there and watched the entire game. Like there was no issues during the entire game. There was no reason for them to be there apart from the fact that they actually just wanted to watch the match. So like, it's brilliant.
It was amazing. It was truly amazing, to be honest. It was the most perfect round you can opt for in a tournament, especially in the tournament finals, where the world title is on the line. You can always have a few things or a few people that can be a bit more competitive, and that's normal. But here you could feel that everybody was laughing at every table. You could hear Drew Dog laughing from the other side of the hotel. So it was an amazing round.
Nah, perfect. Before we start talking about our round, because this is the reason I have you on today, it's literally just to talk for our round, have a look at how we kind of predicted into each other and where that went wrong or where we were right. But before we get into that, I'd just like to ask you about your team. So, how was the last year gone for Belgium? Like, how did you start? How did you get your captaincy? Can you just run us through your year?
Yeah, it has been a pretty hectic year because Belgium is kind of a split country between two languages and everything. But beside a few things, the idea was to set up from scratch a wall community and pave the way for the rest of this community for the future, basically. I wanted to deploy, I was a chairman first, and then I've set up a proper election process, and I happened to be elected out of this election process. And the idea was really to build an healthy community and something that will represent both sides of Belgium, ideally. I wanted players from both sides, from the French speaking and the Flemish speaking side. So that was super important for me. I basically created a selection process based on quantity of game played, quality of opponents you faced, and the communication and behavior. So basically giving reports of the game you've played and the behavior you have on the table and out of the table, basically. So that was the whole idea behind it. After a few months, WTC Online was about to happen. So we pre-selected a team already to validate some skills. Me and two of my vice captains, one from Flanders, one from Wallonia, so from each side of the country. And the idea was to check, okay, right now these are the best ranked player in Belgium, but also they are talking a lot on the Discord. We went into WTC Online. We almost nailed it with another second place because it seems like this is a Belgian curse right now. Probably
Well, I
the
mean,
best
you
curse to have.
it is, yeah. I mean, well, you definitely did better than us. So, for those of you who don't know, CGM was actually a judge at the online WTC as well. So, I think that just goes to show like your understanding of the rules, like being able to chime in and instantly just get to the root of all the problems and stuff. Like, we really appreciate that as well. Just any judge in any event, like they are so invaluable, and I just want to give you praise for your role in that. Like the judges in the WTC, there were so many games, and for anybody that doesn't know as well, there wasn't time limits on these games. So we had a few games that would last for like 6-7 hours.
Yeah.
So the fact that you guys were all willing to give up so much of your free time to help with that during that, I think it was it a 6 week period?
Yeah.
uh
No, 60 days. 10 days
60,
per round. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, so
yeah.
60 days. I just want to congratulate you on that. It's a really, really good job on that, mate.
Thank you. It was a world team, to be honest, a world international team from Germany, Canada, USA, Belgium. I mean, we were a big, and Poland also, I think. We were a big, big of cluster of churches, basically, and it was an amazing job. So, yeah, WTCO allowed us to validate a lot of skills and a lot of players, and we happened to reconduct the exact same team for WTC Clash of Nations, basically, which was the big main event of the year. So that was super nice. It allowed us also to start building a community team setup and a community setup, because on the side we started to want to create something a bit more like an organization for Belgium for the 2025-2026 season. So this is the start of the Belgian Federation. We are a small country, but with a huge community when you compare it to the country. So we started building that beside the tournament preparation. And then we arrived at Clash of Nation after the drop of 1.5 and Cathay. So yeah.
Yeah, the kind of the elephant in the room, right? It's
Yeah.
quite an interesting one. So obviously, like this was the first year really of the WTC. Obviously, there was the smaller WTC last year, but with loads more countries coming in, everyone took it a lot more seriously this year. And it's been so much work for all of the different communities as well. Like there's been a lot that everyone's had to put in place from scratch. And there's been so much behind the scenes work, which I think it's definitely going to be easier for the next year's captains going forward, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this was all about paving the way, I think, for multiple countries. Being able to identify what you wanted to create and the teams you wanted to build. And right now, I know everybody is a bit more ready to start building new teams. This is why it's always important to start early so people can start training together and build a team level together. It's super important, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. Like you need to get those kind of like bonds of friendship from the start, right? You need to have each other's backs, and I do think that's really important as well. Something that I really like as well is the fact that all of the international teams, especially that I saw at the WTC, everyone is building teams in relatively the same way, as in everyone's just really sound. Like you, people aren't necessarily getting in just because they're the best players, but they're also the best people for that role as well. And it's really nice to see that the camaraderie and the game etiquette is important for a lot of the other teams as well.
Yeah, definitely, it's super important to have a proper behavior. As I said, around the table and outside of the table, you cannot have people that are behavior black sheeps. Basically, I've seen this setup in other games like Nine Age or 40K, where you have very strong players, but that are or that can be a bit less good on the social and human side. It was not my vision of the team, and I feel it was not the vision of any team at WTC Clash of Nations.
No. Just everyone was sound, and they were just there to have fun, which an international world is kind of crazy. Actually,
Yeah,
it kind of goes against everything that from previous editions of fantasy the competitive scene almost stood for. You know what I mean? Like you would hear horror stories of years ago from like seventh edition and sixth edition, even of the international teams just like massively arguing and just like almost like punches getting thrown and stuff, and it's completely different world now,
yeah,
completely.
definitely. There is a bit more also visibility and communication about around all of that. Before it was a bit more of an elite setup that nobody was able to reach until you managed to grab a certain level or meet the right person. Now with social media and Discord and everything, I mean, we can see everything evolving in the right way. Plus YouTubers also that brings a proper vision of the community. It's very hard to be the face of a hobby or the face of a community if you are a douchebag. Basically, it's
Yeah,
way
what a
easier when you are a super nice guy than when you are a douchebag because well, people can relate to you, and it brings a very good image of how I should behave in an event or around a table. I'm not here to do some rules lawyering. I'm here to have fun. I can be there to win and have fun without being a douchebag. That's the whole idea.
Yeah, 100%. I could not agree more. It was quite funny. So I was speaking to Andreas from Germany.
Yeah.
For those of you who know him as Gaunt Herder on Discord, and it was we had a really interesting conversation because we were like, at this kind of level of play, everybody, you assume that everyone's on an equal footing to you. Everybody knows all of the tactics of the army. You're both as good a player. And he was just like, it just comes down to dice now. So you might as well just have a laugh. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense actually. I quite
Yeah,
like
that's a
that.
good vision. Especially coming from someone that is playing 4 Wild Tides. Huh? So,
Well, he gets to throw a lot more dice than everyone else.
yes.
What a horrible man. No, no he's lovely. He's lovely. Right. So let's, before I kind of waffle on too much, let's have a look at the reason that I've got you on. So we played for the win. So we were going into this, and whoever won this round was going to be the winner of the event.
Yeah.
Now, England did end up winning this, only just though, literally only just because there is this like it shows the difference in the points there, but there is actually technically a bigger swing on that end score. So the actual point difference was actually less. So it was very tight, and it was a really like hard fought round, but really fun games. Everyone had an absolutely brilliant time in this round. So the pairings we had Bretonia into Empire, our Grand Cathay into your Vampire Counts, our Tomb Kings into your Bretonia, our Dwarves into Grand Cathay, Empire into your Chaos, our High Elves into your Orcs and Goblins, our Vampire Counts into your Tomb Kings, and our Chaos into your Dwarves. Now, when we were doing the pairings, how did you feel that the pairings went for you?
Honestly, pretty good. I must highlight the support of two players about pairing and rating. The first one is Kaboom, which was a coach that was not there at the event. Basically, it's kind of my pairing sensei. Okay, he taught me everything he knows about pairings, and so we prepared 50% of the team ratings together to identify what was the best pairing strategy and what was the best opening. Okay. And for the other 50%, we went into a lower level of preparation, but we've identified basically a top 10 that we were almost sure we would face during the weekend because we were there to win and we started with Poland. So we knew we were in for a treat from round one to round five. And it was the case, to be honest. We faced only players in the top six. So amazing. But basically, entering the pairing, the rating sheet was not that amazing. It was not awful either, but we could identify a few issues, especially on your vampire player that was problematic for a lot of our lists. Your Cathay player for obvious reasons, and your Empire player that was it's a very unstable match. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure your empire is like our empire. The idea is to make something that looks so unstable on paper that you don't want to get paired into that because you are not sure to win that if he spikes on cannons or outriders. And if he doesn't spike, then you can win big, of course, but still, it's pretty hard to grab all these skirmishes, dude. So these were the three armies that we were having issues in terms of pairing. On our side, we had a few good options too, especially with our vamp player that is Arvid, that is currently and for quite some months number one ranked in new recruit, and that created a list that is so efficient on objectives that it's very hard for him to lose a game
Yeah.
because he will swarm the table with three scorings, graveguards everywhere, benches and scream, and basically, even if he kills nothing, he will win thanks to objectives. And then Cathay and Bretonia could do a few good things. So basically, we entered it confident, but not certain to destroy you at Perry. So that was the idea.
Yeah, for sure. So we basically practiced all of the pairings to death for basically all of the teams that we expected to face. Like obviously all of the stronger, I know that sounds really bad, but like all of the stronger teams that we knew were going to be going for first place, like yourselves, like Germany, like USA as well, Italy, France, like all of the top dogs, everyone that could have possibly gone for the win, we practiced to death into those pairings. And we kind of had specific kind of matchups that we wanted to try and create into those. And to be perfectly honest, funnily enough, the practice sessions that we'd have had, so I would practice into Tom and we'd go backwards and forwards and swap it around and working out what we were doing. Weirdly, our pairings into you actually ended up being slightly better than the predictions that we had when we were playing into each other. Just because I think with like the different countries matters, obviously we're scared of different things, right?
Yeah,
So like we favor a lot more shooting in England, for instance. So we kind of fear that a little bit more and stuff like that. And obviously, like you fear like our vampires and our known potentially more than we would in the pairing situation, which is fun. Like I love the
yeah.
little mini game. So if I run through kind of our predictions and then where we kind of ended up. So our Bretonia, so this was into your empire. So we predicted a 15-5 and we ended up with a 16-4. So that was a really close one. Just ended up slightly better than anticipated. But that is quite a swingy game, right? That could have gone either way. And then we had
Yes.
our and then we had our Cathay into vampires. Now this one didn't end too well, but it was exactly on prediction, which is exactly what you want, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, it,
definitely.
like the list that he's running, like did he lose a game all weekend?
No, no,
No,
no, no, no.
like
It's a list that is designed to. You don't have to take any risk. If you play it properly, you will not have a lower score than 10, which is a bit unbalanced and a bit toxic in a competitive environment. But we all know undead are not that amazing. But that was the whole point of the list right now. It can block, it can push, it can score, it can do everything. But more than anything, it should not lose beside having a big game event like a Graveguard unit popping because of Spike.
Yeah, 100%. It's exactly the same way that we use Charlie. Obviously, we normally use him like a little bit more aggressively, which didn't actually pay off for us in our round, but I'll get to that in a second. So then after that, it was our Toon Kings player Scott. So he was paired into your Bretonian player. We predicted a 12-8 into that one, and we ended up with a 17-3. So what
Yeah,
potentially happened with that? What was the we'll look at your matrix afterwards, but was that a
yeah.
favorable pairing for you?
So this one is funny because I'm the Bretonian player. This one is funny because basically, turn two, I have an opening on one of the pack of the skeletons. There is only one prince, one level one. I get my coach and I tell him how is it going on other tables because right now either I'm playing a 10-10 and both of us will be happy about it, or I'm taking the risk, a minimal risk, because I can take 500 points plus more objective and turn it into a 13 or maybe a 14 if we play it properly. And my coach told me, and our empire versus your breadth is not going well. Two cannons are dead on turn one. It doesn't have turn one. It's looking bad. And our Cathay player facing you told him it's drawish right now. So if I look at our pairing matrix, our two green matches are in a bad position. So basically, the information is go get it because we need the point. And I went in, and my Duke jumped behind a unit of skeletons with 3 wounds remaining. And his Tom King that rolled randomly a lovely and quiet spirit on necromancy, casts it, roll 11 hits, 4 wounds, kills my Duke. And from there, it was an uphill battle because I lost 500 points. I will not be able to grind the skeletons. I will not be able to kill the points. I will lose the Pegasus and everything. So from there, just because of this blast, I was not able to provide the 13, 14 that I was offered in front of me, which means that resulted into a 3, which is not amazing, but we double checked everything and the call had to be made and the call was good. It's not, we don't have to blame anybody for that because the risk of my Duke dying to that was minimal. So yeah,
Yep.
something bad happened, and technically you can look at the final score and say, hey, if he had played the 10-10, Belgium would have won the world title because that would have been +7 for us, -7 for you, and that was a done deal. But things are not happening like that. You follow the information your players are giving you. The information was we are in a bad position. We have to push if we want to win. That's it.
Yeah. I think at that point as well, you were in a pretty bad position. So obviously, I'm skipping ahead slightly to. Oh no, I'm not. It's my game next actually. So mine against Thomas. That was pretty rough for me. So I'd only put like a 2 projected into this. Now it
Mm-hmm.
ended up being a 4, so I managed to do slightly better. But there was a point up until I want to say about turn 4, turn 5, where I had him on the
Yeah.
ropes, mate. He was on the
Yeah.
ropes. He basically managed to spike in the last 2 turns and literally clear out almost 1,000 points. But until that point, yeah, we was looking like a draw actually. So I do think that your push was probably the right call because if I'd have managed to get away, then that would have been quite a bad loss for the round, right?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
we could have lost podium potentially. We could have lost a lot of things. So Thomas did an amazing tournament with Cathay. I mean, it's Cathay, but it didn't fall into the laziness you can find in some Cathay player, where the army is such at an autoplay level right now that it's a bit disgusting, but they tend to do huge mistakes because it's so easy to play. I
yeah,
mean, you are literally playing 40k in old world, so this is a bit like that. And Thomas is not this type of player. He's a player that is dedicated. He has been Belgium captain of 9H for several years. I mean, he's a mathematician in terms of plays, and he's here to kill stuff. And you were his worst score for the world tournament. I mean, he didn't
I'll take that.
yes, he didn't do worse than 16 with the army, and he was paired properly. I mean, I was protecting him a bit, but this is something to keep in mind. This is an army that is, when well paired, and it has a lot of good pairings, but when well paired, it can do 15 up consistently. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. So I completely threw myself under the bus. Predicted a
That's
2,
the
but then
role
that
of a
was trying
captain.
to. It is, mate. It is. It was just to try and create some of the later pairings. But yeah, I couldn't believe how like he was an amazing player. Like really, like cautious with all of his movements as well. Everything was absolutely perfect. We basically played chess with each other. Actually, we didn't
Yeah.
really play Warhammer. We everything was measured perfectly. We were just like cat and mousing each other around a hill and around a building and stuff. It was a really fun game, a really, really good one. And yeah, it did spike at the end, and I ended up losing quite a lot of points because basically in the fourth and fifth turn, I just scattered in every single direction with. He hadn't managed to kill a single unit yet by turn
Yeah.
4, but what he'd done is he'd taken lots of wounds off each one, and there was like loads of single gyrocopters just moving around the board. So going into the end of that game, I was like, right, if I can just scatter and hide behind stuff now, I've got him. I've got him. But yeah, it didn't end like that, unfortunately. But it was a really good game.
Yes, it
I had a fun
delivered.
one.
It
Yeah, yeah.
delivered indeed.
Kin balloons, but no, it was a really, really good one. So so after that, we had Dave with his Empire into your Chaos player. This
Yeah.
was an interesting one. So the prediction was a 15-5 and it ended up being a 10-10. Now, I can remember looking at, so this was one of our favorable matchups. So on paper, it was a 15-5, but that's because obviously we know players. We know what they've done before, so we edge that back. I would call that personally an 18-2 on paper if we didn't know the player for the Empire. Because you can just smash the dragons, kill everything at range, get out the way, and then like if you can kill the big stuff straight away, you've won massive, right? And then you can
Yeah.
just run down all of the other stuff that can't interact with you. So on paper, that's a really, really big win. Obviously, we really respect all of you players. We've seen what you guys have done in the past, so we kind of egged it back down a bit. For that to be a 10-10, I can remember looking over to him. I want to say it was probably like turn 4. And I was looking at his table and I was like, why is there dragons on your side of the board? And he turned to me and he was like, yeah, he's like, my cannons are dead. And I was like, so your cannons are dead and all the dragons are still alive? And he's like, yeah. I was like, right, okay. Good luck. You got this, mate. But yeah, he managed to drag that into a 10-10. And I'm really proud of him for that. Dave is a great player. Like amazing. He didn't lose a game all weekend as well. Like absolutely
Yeah.
brilliant. Really, really good player. And for anyone that's watching this who plays Empire is one of the strongest armies now. Just so you know, Nuln is pretty good. I think when
Yes.
Cathay gets brought back down, I think Nuln will be in probably the top 3 or 4 for the best
Fully
armies.
agreed.
I think.
Fully agreed.
Like, it's
I
so good,
mean, we
so
didn't
good.
swap to null. We discussed that with our Empire player, and he still wanted more magic defense and more melee threats. So not going the full soapy build where you just have basically 3 cannons that are static and the rest will move around consistently. But right now, none is really the good soapy avoidance build that you can create that can deliver a massive amount of damage on a very consistent way and deliver. And yes,
Yeah,
a cannon can spike, a cannon can explode, shit happens. But right now, in my opinion, it's probably in a team setup one of the best builds you can have because it's so fucking scary to face great cannons anyway. But in a solo setup, it's amazing to train because you can play everything. You can play objective, you can play kill. If we forget about Cathay that can destroy things by itself, but basically it's a list that can really play any table and any army and either minimize the loss pretty hard or maximize the win pretty hard. So yeah.
yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. Basically, I would say it almost replaces the gyrocopter spam in a team kind of setting. Just because like the gyrocopter spam is obviously better for points to now because you can get away, you can hide better and stuff, but the damage output that Nolan can do is significantly higher and a lot more
It's
reliable
crazy.
as well. Yeah, it is. I'm really interested to see some of the builds that come out of the new Renegade Crowns, because I can imagine that's going to be not probably as good as Null, but potentially something to add into teams lists.
Yes.
So next one we had our James with his high elves playing into your orcs and goblins. Now this was predicted to be a 12-8 for us, and it actually ended up flipping around and being an 8-12. Was this one of your positive pairings, or was this more of a surprise?
Yes, it was a yellow. Basically, what we have four type of color coding. We have 05 red, 6-9 orange, 11-14 yellow, 15-20 is green. So as you heard, I'm forbidding my players to rate anything 10-10
Yeah,
because a
we did the
10-10
same.
should
Yeah,
never happen. Either you win by a bit or either you lose by a bit, but a 10-10 in an objective game cannot happen. I feel it's impossible. I can be contradicted and people can have different point of view, but this is the way we did it with Team Belgium. So it was a yellow with potential. Why? Because 11 freaking fanatics, itching reasons everywhere, doom divers, and basically at some point, it's a lot to go through, especially when you are facing immune to psychology goblins with poison and everything. I mean, it's a build that when you play it against a monster mash, it's freaking scary to play because you can see all these flyers coming from everywhere. And then you realize, oh, he has to charge against my fanatics, so he will take 66 strength 5, but he took some itching wizards before. So actually, it's a toughness 5 dragon or a toughness 4 dragon, and then it's not a funny game anymore for the monster player. And
no,
so
for sure.
that was the whole idea. It's a risky game that can go very bad, but on paper, it's a 70% chances of a small win for the Orc and Goblins, as we see it in Team Belgium.
Yeah, no, 100%. So basically, James is a really cautious player. And we just went with the understanding that he could try and eke out a small win, not put himself into too much danger, and then kind of like pull back.
Yeah,
But obviously, fanatics, you never know what they're going to do. This is the problem. It's
11.
dicey. It
11 of them.
Yeah, yeah. It's a casino army, isn't it? Like some games they'll do nothing, they'll all die, and then some games they'll just absolutely table somebody. Like you never kind of know what's going to happen with them, really. I mean, that's Orcs and Goblins, though, right?
Yeah.
So that was relatively looking bad for us. Like we dropped a few points. Obviously, Scott was saving our ass at this point with the winning to yourself with the 17 points. But then we managed to kind of get a couple more points later on. But with Charlie, our Vampire Counts player, playing into your Tomb Kings. So he was predicted a 15-5 and he ended up with a 14-6. And now that was Charlie's smallest win all weekend. Like that guy is normally a machine going for the 20s. So the fact that he only got a 14, like that's big. That like surely he's got to be proud with that, right?
And he made a pretty big boo boo early game. That's also something to note. Charlie
Yep.
was in range of Bow Shapties with his Mortis engine, and I think it went on a save or two, the Mortis survived, but he could have lost early in the game, the Mortis, which would have been a fully different game. But yes, I
Yep.
told it was a red match for our TK. When I do the pairing, my number one rule technically is avoid reds. I can have 3 oranges, I don't care, because the rest would be good, but avoid red as much as possible. And it was a red I was not able to avoid because it was one that was giving me 2 greens. So the ratio is positive for me. I can accept doing a sacrifice. My TK player will hate me for a round or two, and then he will try to secure the point and deny as many points as possible. But here, he even had an option to potentially win the game, which could have been different. And then he defended super nicely, killing what he could, stopping what he could. So super proud of my TK player on this round. He did amazing.
Yeah, no, he definitely did. Been able to stop the tsunami that is Charlie. He did a really good job, like getting down to a 14 from something that was predicted to be really really bad is really good. I mean, I do a similar kind of thing in the pairings. Really, like I would happily give a red if it's going to get me a couple of positives, or even like two reds for two greens, but then just tell the players that they have to just not lose that bad. Like just hide,
Sometimes it's
and then the
harder.
attacking players like my game into Cathay, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't know if you've watched the video, but I just spent I think it was like 3 turns hiding behind that hill, and I was just like, no, I'm not going to move. You can't
No.
cannon me over a hill. I don't care.
Petit à
But yeah, you
petit,
got to hide.
hein.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And then the final game, we had our chaos player, which is Steve, playing into your dwarves.
Yeah.
Now, this was kind of an interesting one. So he basically put this down as an 8-12 and ended up with a 7-13. This can swing either way for chaos. It could have gone a lot worse. It could have been a lot better. The linear obstacles definitely change up this pairing completely. Like this before 1.5 would have been an absolute drubbing for the dwarves.
Yeah.
Now, I'm proud that Steve didn't lose this too bad. We practiced this quite a bit. This was my fault, this pairing, right? Because he was there telling me, he was like, right, I did my matrix wrong. That should have been bad. Like, I can't win this game. And I was like, no, I believe in you, Steve. You've got this, mate. So that was kind of my fault, really. I was like,
So
I overestimated the dragons into the dwarves. That was
don't worry. This is what we call the balls of steel syndrome. All weekend, basically, every time a chaos player was able to pick our dwarf in pairing, they all went like, "Hell yeah, I'm gonna crush that." Our dwarf player faced three chaos players during the weekend and did not lose once because
yeah.
it's a build thanks to the 1.5. You cannot attack the infantry pack, or you have to do it with three dragons at the same time coming from different ways and everything, which is generally very hard to do. You will not kill a single gyrocopter, which means you will lose all your scorings, while the dwarf will score a lot because hey, he has a brick of combat resolution 6 warriors in the middle, scoring like hell, while you have some thunderers behind, scoring like hell and shooting at stuff and cheerleading out of the gyrocopters. And basically, as a dwarf, he got a penalty for list building because he put a third Doomseeker. So he had to redeem and to have a redemption out of his WTC. And he got it, getting the title of Doomslayer for the tournament because every time he faced a Chaos player, he just crushed him in the ground. So it's really the pairing we are super happy to see all the time because every round people were just throwing them at him like, yeah, I can kill that. No, you cannot. I mean, they are T5 gyrocopters. They are combat red 6 dug in dwarfs. You cannot do anything if you don't have the proper tool to do it. And people don't realize that because they still think maybe a bit too much like in 1.0.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like our idea going into this, I was like, right, you can get behind him. Like we've played this pairing loads. Like I practice with that list into him as well, and it's just like, right, just go on the back. But things happen on the day, right? Like different decisions are made and all this kind of stuff. Like I'm quite happy he only dropped 1 point from what he was predicted. To be fair, it's all of these getting quite close to the predictions
Yeah.
that meant that we managed to win this round, and then obviously Scott with the like the cascade, and then also James that score changing quite a bit as well, and Dave getting much higher as well, just kind of cascaded that score, and it was really really good. Andy
Yeah.
as well getting higher, so everything was just kind of adding through. I didn't lose as bad, and then it just kind of ended up with our win. I mean, it was very hard fought though. It was a really really good round. I mean, there's not much else I can say about it, right? It was just great Warhammer.
I mean, about respecting your rating, this is the first rule I'm giving to my teammates. Okay. And for me, if you want to be part of a team, it's not about being able to crush your opponents most of the time. is to be able to say, hey, I think I will do a 12 or a 13 and do that rating. If you manage to do that consistently, then you deserve a spot in a national team because you are able to give the right information to your captain or to the person in charge of the pairings that, yes, this is what I'm able to do against that build. And by respecting it, it means that you are a reliable player. This is, for me, the most important part if you want to join a national team for any game, basically. Because if you can be this reliable player and say, hey, I can do that or better, or maybe 1 point worse, but I mean, that's okay. But basically, if you can stay within this range, it means that you are bankable and everybody can rely on your score, even if you are sacrificed, even if you are in a bad position, you know that you have a plan and you know how to score. So that would be my main advice if you want to join a national team in any country. You train, of course, you grind, of course, but out of that, the main information that you have to get out of it is the info you can give to your teammates. Beside that, yes, you took the advantage on a few tables, and we lost by 8 points, which means 4 points difference basically.
I know.
Could
How
have
close is
done it.
that?
Yes, and I mean, this is the draw in my eyes because when you are rated between 60 and 100, when you talk about capped points, when you have less than 10 points of difference, for me, it's really a draw to your advantage. And things could have been better on a few tables. Things could have been worse on a few tables. I'm thinking about your Empire against our Chaos. I told to my Chaos player, make him sweat. And I could see Blue Dog being like, okay, I'm getting pushed right now. And this is what the type of player and the type of things we wanted to deliver. Good people facing good people around great matches. And this is what we got.
Yeah, it definitely is. Right, so let's have a look at your matrix. So obviously you've talked us through your color coding that you did earlier. Obviously, so the greens are really good games. The reds are to basically stay away from them completely. Do you want to talk through all of your kind of like your ideas as you were going through?
Yes, we can. Basically, we've done something I was not expecting during the whole tournament. Every round, we've opened pairing with Vampire because I always add other solutions to counter things. And while a few people doing pairings might say, "Man, you just have one bad match; it's so easy to try to place it," our vampire was not displaying as many greens as other builds could. Like he doesn't have any very bad matches. The null rating is orange because it's unstable. So he doesn't want to fight that. And he preferred to go for stable wins that he can bring 13, 13, 13, and things like that. So we opened with Vampire because it's a good way for us to clean things. And you try to counter it directly with, I think, Nuln and Cathay, and this is why I've jumped on Cathay because then you can clean completely the death row, basically. So this
Well,
is the whole
yeah.
idea.
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to draw out. So if you put something down strong first, like you see a lot of people opening with either Cathay or Vampires or Tomb Kings, what that does is it either draws out two of the strong armies for later on, or you're going to get two shit armies that are going to get thrown under the bus. But you
Yes,
might need to throw them under the bus later on. So, or you can try and get one of those strong armies to deal with that and try and save some points. So it's all the kind of like the mental arithmetic of working out what's going on later in the pairings, isn't it?
exactly. And this is why I talked about Kaboom for the first round. On the last round of pairings, Thomas was a huge help for me also in terms of pairings because he has this, as I said, this mathematic vision where for him at the end, you just have four remaining matches, is going full Rain Man and can tell me this is going this way. So you would just have that and you will get to win out of that. And he repeats that 3 times to me. I will repeat to him, I don't understand. 3 times, and then I will follow his hint, and it works.
Yeah,
So it's
like
definitely about that. So
yeah,
yes,
good.
Vampire was to draw either a very good match for us or to clean a column, which was done. I fought with my Bretonians your TK, because I knew I could pop uh, pack potentially if the stars aligned. Basically, if you don't have glittering robe, or if you don't have too many melee characters in one pack, and that I can get a flank or rear, I can then start to grind you.
Yeah,
And this is it. I mean, it was achievable, but it backfired on an unquiet spirit. So shit happens. Put a obvious red on our Tonkings against your vampire, but I mean, he did amazing. Nico, our chaos player, was facing Brewdog with Empire. We already talked at length about this game, and these were the final pairings that you had, the two greens that you can see here, and you were saying that your exile was a good match on our Empire, and our Empire was saying it's a good match for him, and this is
yeah,
where it's always interesting to share pairings or rating sheets after a game, so people can try to think and maybe contact each other. Hey, why was it a good match for you? I mean, I think I can 15 you, and one of us was right, one of us was wrong, or maybe it was a 10-10. What happened? So this was, I think it was a green for us, to be honest, because of no wards and artillery supremacy. It seems it didn't. I've heard two cannons exploded turn one following the bombard shooting, so it doesn't help. But beside that, this is potentially one of the matches that put us a bit behind,
yeah,
because we were expecting a 15 and we got a 4 out of it. So shit happens, you know. Then Arthur was super happy to face, which is Thomas, to face you and your X Force, and he delivered. Boris, with our orc and goblins, had to face some Trace build and was pretty happy about that, even if he was like, yeah, I mean, I cannot face that. Yeah, it's monsters. You can kill them. And they cannot hide from him. This is a big thing. You cannot hide from catapults. So if you go full bunker, you will lose an objective and you will lose a monster before the end of the game. So definitely, it was the risk was on your side and not ours. This is how I see it. And then, well, all twins, Doomslayer, were super happy, blood bathing in chaos guts, basically. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's one of those things like when we're doing the pairings, like we've got quite a good team on our side. So like Tom is like Thomas, so he's very much like very good at looking through all like the different percentages of what's going to come out, what's going to be the next screens coming out. Whereas I'm super hyper aggressive on what we're putting down. Like I'll be like, right, this is going down. We got this. We got this. Like trying to read the other captains right and
Yeah.
knowing what's coming down. So we've got a really good team for that. And we do take quite a lot of risks in the pairings. Like you probably noticed when we were pairing into each other, we
Yeah.
go for kind of like high risk, high reward kind of stuff. Like it sounds kind of bad, but we'll almost throw half the team under the bus to be able to get some high scores in other places, which I suppose other captains don't do. But it definitely paid off this time, whereas sometimes it might not, right?
I mean, it's a strategy. On my side, I prefer to be cautious and to say no big sacrifice. And if I sacrifice a player, I need to make sure this is a player that know how to play a loss and that doesn't play every game like it's a win, or like it's a potential win. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, if you told me it was orange, you play an orange match. I don't ask you to get me a 10-10 out of it. If you get it, that's amazing. But don't put yourself at risk to try to have this 1% chance of victory. No, this is useless in a team setup, in my opinion. So I try to avoid the big sacrifice, even if I have to have plenty of yellows across the board. If I can avoid having any reds, I know my players are good enough to deliver. So it's
Yeah.
all about trust. It's all about trusting them to make the right choices, get the coach at the right time, having a good coach, because it's also super important to say that. But a coach, it can be the difference between the victory and the loss on the round. We had one. I would have loved to have two coaches, to be honest, because one coach having to monitor 8 tables is super hard, super hard. But everybody listened to him, which is amazing. No player took it like a free consultancy. No, if the coach tells you to push, you push. And everybody did that. He's not here to just give you a friendly advice. It's here to tell you you have to do that, because it's always easy to identify things from the side of the court. And he knows what's happening on the other tables. So I know you had two coaches, I think.
Yeah. So we had two. So we had the Alex, the team manager, and then we had Mop there as well. And genuinely, like, they definitely helped with the result for the weekend. Just being able to have two walking around, assessing the games, working out exactly the points on how everything's going as well. Like in our round, I got to a point. I think it was like turn 5 against Thomas, and I
Yeah.
was like, right, it's gone terribly wrong. Like in a one, it's one turn flip from a 10 to, I was expecting like a 1 or a 2. Like it'd flipped terribly. And Alex came over to me, we called the timeout, and he's like, right, what are you expecting from this? And I was like, to be perfectly honest, mate, it's going to be a 1 or a 2. If he gets horrendously lucky with everything, he could wipe me. Like it could be really, really bad. And I was like, okay, so that's bad. And he's like, right, so I've gone round working out the scoring from everything. You need to score a 4. If you don't score a 4, we've lost the round. And it's like, shit, right, okay. And it's stuff like that. I think you need that in a team. Like the coach is so necessary. And I think a lot of the teams, especially the top level teams that didn't take coaches, I know that that's a change that they're all going to bring next year. Getting that command structure in and all of the support team is really, really necessary. I know USA unfortunately couldn't bring one over just because of like costing and stuff like that, but I
Yeah.
think next year that they'll probably bring one. It's so important because you don't know how the round's going. Like I wouldn't, and yourself as a captain, we wouldn't have been able to walk around during our games and be like, oh yeah, you need to push, you need to do this, because you're there trying to win your game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not a thankless job, because a lot of players might come back to you at the end of the game or at the end of the tournament saying, hey, you did amazing, you know. But it's a super frustrating job, because you will see 2 days of Warhammer without rolling a single dice. Okay? So it's super frustrating, because you will see mistakes being made by your teammates, and you are not able to, maybe you are not able to say them stop. Maybe you are, because he didn't use, or she didn't use Coach Cole, but you basically, it's a very frustrating position, and it's sometimes frustrating on so many levels, because people don't listen to you, because people don't call you before doing a move, or they call you too late after the movement phase, while you just have to be there at the start of the turn, because once the movement is done, it's done. So it's about all of that, and being able to have good, reliable coaches is an invaluable resource right now. If you have good coaches, bless them, and honestly, pay the tournament fees with the team for them, pay them a few drinks, be there for them, because what they are doing is huge. They are not playing at the World Team Championship. They are here to support you and to help you to win, but they are not playing, while maybe they were candidates to join the team. Maybe they were trying, maybe they are frustrated by all of that. This is something as a captain or as a management team, because maybe you are not alone in the in the leadership of your team. This is something that is super important, to really cater to your coaches, because a good coach can be the difference between a won round and a lost round.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Like, so Alex, when he was coaching at the Home Nations, he won the MVP award for that weekend just because of how invaluable he was to the team. And I can imagine it was the same with your coach as well. They are so important. I think the entire support structure, like everyone in the background of the team, helps you get to where you were. Like, obviously, you guys had a good support structure. You ended up with second, we ended up with first. And it's all of that preparedness that helps you compete at that kind of level. And I think a lot of teams are going to be implementing a lot of that kind of stuff now, and they're going to be nipping on our heels for next year, I think.
Yes, definitely. I mean, Italy did a crazy choice. They put the captain as a coach, and having faced him or seen playing last year, he's an amazing player. And they
Yep,
took a huge gamble, saying, "Hey, let's take one of our best player. He will not play, but he will roam around and he will be there at every game. And he will be the one that will be able to tell you, be careful, this is an unnecessary risk, or go push it, we need it." And I think this is something that we might see a bit more also in the upcoming years. He didn't try to be the hero, but he
yep,
was the hero of his weekend because he was there for everything, discussing every ruling, going through things with the judges, and did an amazing job. And it's super hard to be a coach and a captain when you can see your team is doing like this. Then you like, maybe I should have played. But they reached again the podium, third place this time,
yep.
and they did a good job. But I think it was a super interesting gamble to
Yep.
say, let's take one of our best player in the country and make him a coach.
Yeah, I mean the other side of that as well. Like, obviously, congratulations to Italy. They did brilliantly. They're a
Yeah,
really strong group of players, great guys as well. Like, I've got a lot of time for Team Italy, but Michele obviously is a very good player. He was playing the Tomb Kings, I believe, at the tournament that we played him against in Italy. I think they replaced him out with Riccardo, who I played against. So he was running the Monster Mash Tomb Kings army.
yeah,
Now, Riccardo, I believe, is the top rated player in Italy. Like, he's got something like 33 event wins or something like that.
nice.
So obviously that's kind of a resume that you could be like, right, okay, this person is obviously a very strong player. I'm going to put them in. I'm going to retire out of the team, out of the playing team anyway, and then I'm going to assume the role as coach, which he did really well. There was a lot of games when he was there, like also translating as well for some of the team as well, which I thought was really nice of him to do.
Yeah.
I love Michele, like he's awesome, he's a great guy. Um, but I think as well, because the Italians are quite fiery as well, aren't they? Like, it's just in their culture. They're very fiery people. And I think to have your captain as your coach probably meant that they would respect that decision more than coming from a coach.
Yeah.
And that's potentially something that for some of the other tournaments next year that the potential team captain for Team England could think about doing, maybe for like Six Nations or the potential Waterloo campaign, potentially not playing in that to be a coach, is something that's an interesting choice because it worked for them. Like, it did really well for them. They still managed a podium. And it's definitely something that some of the captains looking going forward could potentially do as well. I did quite like that as well, actually.
Yes, definitely. You have some weight, a bit more weight than the usual coach. And right now, I don't know for England, but I know in Belgium and in our part of Europe, we don't have a lot of team tournaments. And this is something that I hope to see more team events, even three players team or five players team. I hope to see that because it also helps you training your coaches and helps your player training being coached because identifying the right moment to get your call and to get your coach at the table can be also game breaking events. I mean, if you call him too late, that's already too late. If you call him too early, we just say to you, well, I don't have information. And yes, you can do that, but I cannot help you. So finding the right moment where calling your coach and training on that can be super important. I really hope we will have a few more small team events across Europe and worldwide, of course,
Yep.
to keep training with that, keep training, keep building the team spirit, of course, and keep building a community that is able to deliver together. I mean, with a coach, with a captain, with a team, all together to create something nice.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it is all about community. I think there are kind of plans going behind the scenes to try and get a lot more kind of team tournaments and stuff going. Obviously, there's the
Yes,
Alpine Cups that are kind of going for Europe, but there is also something cooking up in the background. So we
yes,
should hopefully see a lot more team tournaments going on in the future. This isn't just national teams. This is also if you want to grab some friends and just have fun.
yeah,
So that'll be exciting when that gets announced. But I can't talk about that yet. But that will be coming in the future.
yes.
Well, anyway, I'll leave it there because your lovely lady is about to pop, isn't she? So I will.
Hopefully
I
not.
was,
I don't hear anything.
yeah. I'll say massive congratulations for the birth anyway, because
Like,
that's going to be coming
thank you.
imminently, and congratulations on coming second, and also picking up all of the painting awards as well. It was. I think if you'd have come first, it would have been a clean streak for all of the awards
Yes,
at the
we
end, I think.
just missed Fair Play Award, but I mean, we cannot get everything. But the painting awards extravaganza was pretty crazy to behold. To be honest,
Well deserved, though. Well deserved.
it's crazy, and I mean, we were the Flemish masters there, the painting masters, bringing everything home. So that was super nice, to be honest.
Love it. Thank you so much for coming on, and hope to see you soon. You take care, mate.
Thank you, Richie. Bye.